Hello, friends, and welcome to In the Know with Axonify, your 25-minute deep dive into the biggest topics impacting your employees' workplace experience. I'm JD. I'm the Chief Learning Architect at Axonify. And first things first, have you seen the images coming from the James Webb Space Telescope? Here's one. This is the Southern Ring Nebula. It's a dying star expelling gas and dust in orbit with a younger star. So since this source of light is so far away, meaning it's from billions of years ago, this is as close as looking into the past as we're likely going to get. So if you haven't checked out the pictures yet, I highly recommend heading over to the link at the New York Times article that we're sharing in the chat right now. Space. It's not just for Star Wars anymore. Anyway, let's talk about the second coolest thing that's happened in the technology world of late, and that's the Axonify acquisition of Nudge, the top-rated communication and execution platform for frontline workers. The response from members of the Axonify and Nudge communities have been amazing since we first announced our partnership a few weeks back. And there's a lot of work going on right now within our collective product and development teams to bring together Axonify's unique learning and performance capabilities with Nudge's communication, task execution, and recognition tools to create an innovative, one-of-a-kind digital employee experience for frontline workers. And I know technology is exciting, right? It's going to be a big part of our shared story. However, it's not where the story begins. To build a great platform, you first have to define your vision, the problems you're going to solve on the way to shaping a great experience for the people who are going to use your technology. And that's what we're going to talk about today. A vision for the not so distant future of the frontline employee experience. So to help me share this vision with you, I'm excited to welcome our guest, Jordan Ekers. Jordan is co-founder and COO of Nudge, which came to be in large part due to his passion for empowering frontline workers with the knowledge, tools, and resources they need to execute consistently and confidently every day. He's worked with many of North America's leading retail, food service, and hospitality brands to design transformative strategies that bring brand promises to life by enabling frontline teams. Jordan is a Forbes Council member, as well as a guest on BNN Bloomberg. Jordan Ekers, you're in the know with Axonify.
Thank you so much, JD. It is a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thanks for joining us. So for those who are unfamiliar with Nudge, could you give us the 60-second elevator pitch?
Sure. So Nudge is the most highly rated communication and task management platform in our category that provides frontline managers and associates all of the digital tools that they need to execute in their roles and deliver an exceptional customer experience. And we started the business close to 10 years ago with the vision of transforming the way that work gets done on the front line. And we are extremely proud of the news that JD just shared and the opportunity to combine the power of Axonify with the power of Nudge to provide a very innovative platform for brands to better support their frontline associates. And really excited about the conversation today.
Awesome. Equally excited as well. Congratulations on all the great work your team has done so far. So we're both clearly passionate about empowering frontline workers. We both started our careers on the front line. And today I'm interested to get your thoughts because today there's plenty of conversation going around about employee experience, especially the kind of nonstop debate about things like virtual work, remote work, how many days in the office, these types of things. But the front line is often excluded or just downright ignored in these employee experience conversations. So from your perspective, why has the frontline employee experience been overlooked for so long?
Yeah, I think it's a great comment. When you think about investment, so a fraction of the investment that has been placed in solutions over the last 10 years has been placed towards that frontline employee. I think that every organization who's here today recognizes that if you can find a way to inspire your workforce to become a brand advocate, then we can find ways to deliver incredible experiences. And I think why we're seeing this shift in the market right now is with everything that's going on in the labor market, brands are trying to find innovative ways to attract, retain, and grow their talent. And they've recognized this rehumanization of the relationship with their people. And so I think it's an incredible time to be a frontline employee. I think there are more solutions and tools and initiatives that brands are investing in. And I think that we've seen the next shift in solutions that are geared towards the people that bring your brand experience to life versus just the people that you serve as customers every single day.
Well stated. Well stated. So, Jordan, I'm not sure how closely you read the paperwork, but my contract actually says that anytime a new team joins Axonify, I must be provided with a new best friend. So we have yet to decide who among the Nudge team is best suited to be my best friend. But since you're nice enough to join us here on In the Know today, I figured I'd give you the first shot and invite you to participate in the Axonify Best Friend Challenge. Now, to determine if Jordan and I can truly be best friends, we're going to answer a series of questions. The questions are going to appear on screen, and then we'll both write down our answers on paper. Then we're going to reveal our answers, explain those answers, and see just how like-minded and compatible we really are. So if you're watching live on LinkedIn right now and also interested in being maybe not my best friend, but like a good friend, you can answer the questions along with us in the chat as well. So Jordan, are you ready for the Best Friend Challenge?
Absolutely.
I don't know if you really are, but let's go ahead and see our first question. All right, our first question is, what was my biggest childhood fear? So you have to write down, what do you think my biggest childhood fear was? I'm not going to say it wasn't clowns. It could be clowns, but go ahead, write down what you think my biggest childhood fear was. I've got it here. Let's see what your answer is. What do you think my biggest childhood fear was? Sinkholes. What led you to sinkholes, Jordan?
I pictured you growing up in the state of Florida, and it's a very common place in the world where sinkholes happen, and you're a child walking to school and you just happen to come across a sinkhole, and just really struck a chord for me that this might bring back some emotional turmoil from the childhood.
Okay, I get the logic. I get the logic. We're going to have to work on the whole best friend thing because I grew up in Philadelphia, not Florida, but you know, sinkholes everywhere, potentially. Good try. The answer is public speaking. Public speaking was by far my biggest fear as a child, which makes it really strange that I do stuff like this for a living. But if anyone out there has fears of public speaking, you too can host your own LinkedIn live show one day. That's question one. Let's move on to question number two. Question number two, what's the biggest challenge facing frontline employers today? So the organizations that employ large frontline workforces, what do you think is the biggest challenge they're facing right now? All right, I've got my answer here. Jordan, what do you have? Biggest challenge frontline employees are facing? All right, you went with opportunity. Opportunity, we're close. I said options. So Jordan, why did you say opportunity?
Yeah, I think we're in a world right now where we're navigating the labor market, and I don't think that it is sufficient enough anymore to simply offer someone a job. And so when I use the term opportunity, what I really mean is providing people a place where they're passionate to work, where they have the opportunity to learn and development, push their careers forward. And I think if we can reframe the way that we provide opportunities to frontline workers, brands are going to be able to attract, retain, and grow their talent, which obviously has an impact on the bottom line.
Oh, we're right there. So I said options for very similar reason, because people just have more options now when it comes to maybe working in remote positions. You got the creator economy, different types of frontline work positions. So it's no longer enough to rely on that next wave of employees to compensate for turnover. There's not necessarily always going to be someone knocking on the door for that open position. So it's how do we create an experience that makes you an employer that people want to work for. And like you said, it creates an opportunity people can see instead of it just being another job. So we're close. We're so close. I'm liking this so far. Let's see our next question, please. Oh, it's getting spicy. All right, here we go. Which company has a cooler name? Is it Axonify or Nudge? All right, which one's the cooler name? No pressure in terms of you just joined the Axonify team. You did found Nudge, though. So I can't really hold either answer against you. So let's see. What do you have? What's your answer?
I feel bad about this, but I'll explain my answer in just a moment.
Okay, go ahead. What explain it? You did a bit of a combination there to hedge your bet, I think.
I did, because most of our customers will talk about how they nudgeify content in campaigns. And so when I look at Axonify and Nudge, it just became this really interesting realization, but it's hard. I felt conflicted on this one. So I went with the safe bet of where I spent the last 10 years of my life.
Gotcha. Challenging question. I'll be with you on that one. We have the same thing where people talk about Axonifying their strategy or Axonifying their content, whatnot. So we are similarly verbs in that regard. I went with nudge. And here's why I love the word nudge, because I think it is a great way to describe what we're trying to do when it comes to helping people shift behavior and improve performance. A big part of the challenge, especially in learning, has long been that we fire hose people with too much too quickly, and not realizing that learning is an incremental process, right? It takes place over time. And we're talking about shifting long-standing behaviors in a lot of ways. So I think the word nudge really does kind of describe the way that we've been doing this actually for a while at Axonify. So it's a great word. Happy to use the word a lot nowadays. So no one at Axonify hold that against me, though, hopefully. Next question, please. All right. What's the most important part of a great frontline employee experience? So there are a lot of different components. When you say the words employee experience, it could mean a lot of different things, right? A lot of different tools, a lot of different processes, a lot of different systems. It's a human experience after all. But what's the most important part of that experience? I'll go first in this case. I wrote the word friction and then I crossed it out, which to me means removing friction from the employee experience makes it a great experience. Jordan, what was yours?
I wrote fit. I've also realized through this exercise that I should have had smaller pieces of paper relative to yours because I have to get in here. But fit for me was really around you need to build solutions and experiences that fit into the daily flow of work. So you can't, anything you ask someone to do that gets in the way of the outcome you want to deliver is going to create incremental effort that isn't always required. So if you can build solutions and experiences that follow that individual through their flow of work, you can really kind of optimize the way that they get work done, whether that's communication to the palm of their hand or how they interact with their colleagues. Make it easy, make it fun, and make it fit into their day.
Again, I think we're on the same general page with our responses. Even the same, we're doing a first letter thing right now. It's kind of interesting. But from my perspective, the easy parts of the job should be the easy parts of the job, right? So people should know, how do I get help, right? What are my opportunities to learn and develop? How do I access and share information? How do I get the latest update? I shouldn't be expending my limited time, limited capacity, limited attention on things that should be the easy part of my job, while working with products, working with customers. That should be the meaningful and challenging part of my day-to-day experience. So if we can eliminate the friction in the employee experience, it allows people to focus on the right things. And then it goes a long way to the outcomes we want to see, like improving engagement, reducing turnover, creating an employee experience that people want to have, and even more importantly, an experience that people will invite their friends to join. That's a big part of the story on the front line, is how do you bring in people that you want to work with? Because it's having friends at work is a big part of having an enjoyable work experience. So great answers on both sides, I think, for that one. But let's get a question about Jordan. We had a question about me earlier. Can we get a question about Jordan? All right, here we go. Jordan, if you could own any famous movie or TV car, which car would it be? I think there's one answer to this question. I've never seen you drive. I don't know if you own a car, but I think there's one answer to this question. And here's my response. It's a DeLorean, because it's the only movie car that matters, in my opinion. So how close am I, Jordan, to the correct answer?
So not even close. Growing up, like every child, I was a big fan of James Bond, and this brought me back to the Sean Connery days. And the James Bond vehicle with the Aston Martin was one of the most quintessential cars I think that has ever been in the Bond series. And so that's an old vintage.
This might be throwing us back a few steps in terms of our journey to become best friends, Jordan, because I've never seen a James Bond movie. And I still hold to my response that the only movie car that matters is the DeLorean from Back to the Future. So let's just move on to the next question. Forget that one even happened. So our next question.
Never seen a James Bond movie.
Never seen it. Let's see what the chat has to say about that. But our new question, what's the biggest gap in frontline digital work tools today? So you kind of mentioned earlier that there's an explosion in terms of technology on the front line nowadays, especially the last couple of years, as business models have changed. We've seen things like curbside pickup. I do my grocery shopping through a person who's doing the picking for me in the store. We're communicating via apps on our smartphones. So a lot of technology now emerging on the front line. What's the biggest gap in those frontline tools today? I went with complexity. What was your response?
I went with reach.
Reach. Okay. What do you mean by reach?
So we've made the comment and talked a few times already that there are more solutions coming to the market for the front line. I think a vast majority of those solutions have been primarily designed for the manager, to make managers better leaders, to drive greater efficiency, but not enough have been brought right towards that real frontline hourly worker who does a majority of the work to support the manager. So I think we need to find ways to extend to that last mile, which is that frontline hourly worker, and invest in solutions that not only empower managers to be great leaders, but provide that utility to the individuals on the front line to get great work done every day.
Gotcha. Completely in agreement. I went with complexity. It's kind of similar to the answer I had earlier about removing friction, which is even when those tools do exist on the front line, so maybe they get beyond the regional or store manager level and they're within reach of the front line, a lot of times people still have to go hunting. Right. So my schedule is over there. My chat app is over here. My LMS is in a back office that I never get to. My assignments are written on a whiteboard over there. So even when there is a lot of tech, both operationally and from HR and L&D, it's a bit all over the place. So I think it's critical in the work, especially that we're doing, to help people focus on what matters most and make sure those tools that are needed to help facilitate work are there when and where they're needed, and they don't add more disruption and more complexity to jobs that are already difficult. So I shouldn't have to go hunting for the tools I need when I need them. They should be there. And I think that's a huge guiding principle when it comes to building a right fit digital experience. So great thoughts there. Let's see our next question. All right. Who plays the most important role in shaping the frontline employee experience? So there are a lot of players, a lot of stakeholders. So you've got, L&D, we've got operations, we've got compliance, we've got product owners, the employees themselves. So who do you think are the people or the role that plays the most important part in shaping that experience? What was your response?
Managers.
Here it is, everybody. It's the best friend moment. I wrote managers as well. So Jordan, why did you go with managers?
I think we should be pulling up the Step Brothers scene where they're like, did we just become best friends? There it is. So for managers, for me, people work for brands, but they aspire to work for great managers and great leaders. And I think that managers over the last few years have had to manage so much change, so much workload. And part of the reality is for most organizations, their frontline managers just truly are a little bit burnt out. And so I think that we need to find ways to kind of better support managers and being incredible leaders for their teams that will drive a higher degree of engagement and retention. And I think anything we can do to kind of unburden that manager is extremely helpful for the way that brand experiences come to life on the front line.
100% agreement. Again, I'm feeling the symbiosis here, but something I hear time and time again is that in a lot of cases, frontline employees don't work for the company, they work for their manager. Because that is the person they see every day. They may never see the corporate team, right? They may never head towards HQ, maybe a completely different country or region from where they are. But they see that manager every day, and that person has so much influence over who does what type of work, when people work, what schedules look like, who has an opportunity to maybe develop or to take that next step. So manager buy-in is, I think, the most critical part of this whole story for really any change initiative impacting the front line. Because if the management team, especially at the kind of district or regional level, and then at the store or frontline level, if they're not reinforcing the right behaviors, really nothing else matters because they have such an influence over the day-to-day employee experience. All right, let's see if we can get another one. Let's head to the next question, see if we can get matching best friend answers. This one's about communication. What's the biggest problem with frontline communication today? So I think we've learned a lot about frontline communication over the past 2 years, especially given how quickly things have been changing on the front line. So what do you think is the biggest problem with frontline communication today?
I'm going to go with a broad theme of top down, which I can share more on what I think by that.
All right. I went with WhatsApp. WhatsApp. So Jordan, why did you say top down?
Yeah, I think for the most part, I started Nudge 10 years ago because I worked for a large loyalty program that was focused on pushing content out to the field. And what would happen would be we would deliver information through an old antiquated system to a manager, and then rely and cross our fingers that that manager was effectively communicating that information to the team. So the method of delivery was not in a modern approach. And there was very limited opportunity for frontline employees to directly interact with that information, but also provide feedback. And so we have seen over the last kind of number of years that this two-way communication approach where you can get the right information to the right person at the right time directly on the front line through a modern day delivery mechanism, i.e. your phone or tablet, married with the ability to capture rich feedback. Like the frontline associates are the individuals that are bringing your brand experience to life every single day, and they have a tremendous amount of wisdom that they can share back to your operations. So I think we need to move away from this top-down approach to a two-way dynamic that better empowers people to execute and be engaged.
That's a great point regarding, it's an interesting question to raise. Is it communication if it's only heading one direction, right? Meaningfully, when you think about the concept of the term. And I think, especially the last 2 years has revealed how much of a challenge it is operationally and how much harder it is to be agile as a business when you can't reach everyone with a timely message. And the reality is most frontline employees don't have email or corporate email. They don't use Slack, Microsoft Teams, the type of tools we use every day. And imagine trying to do your job without those tools. I know a lot of people probably would prefer to not have email, but imagine trying to keep up if the only way you got your information was from a pre-shift huddle every day or a posting on a bulletin board somewhere. And I wrote WhatsApp because I think a lot of people, especially on the front line, especially managers, have recognized this problem and they've tried to close the gap on their own because they don't have a right fit tool available from the organization. So you see teams introducing WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups and those types of informal communication channels, but that just adds more complexity and potential risk to your business because you have information that you might not want being shared on consumer applications being shared outside the firewall, right? And outside of your kind of approved channels. So that's why I think it's critical to help out the frontline teams and help out managers by providing an experience when it comes to communication that makes sense. And like you said, fosters that two-way dialogue that's critical in making sure the right information, the right ideas get to the right people. All right, we're starting to run short on time. Let's see our next question. How are we going to stand out, Jordan? So we've talked about there's a lot of technology out there on the front line nowadays. How is Axonify going to stand out in a crowded technology marketplace? I
hope the answer isn't the first photo of you and I, but it could be.
I went with capability is my answer. Jordan, what's your answer?
I went with impact.
Impact. So I went with capability because, I mean, first of all, we are introducing new capabilities as part of this work, right? So in addition to what people may know of Axonify in terms of learning technology, reinforcement, those ideas, we're adding task management, we're adding two-way communication, we're adding some additional recognition tools. But what I think makes this really special is that all of this experience is going to be grounded in capability, in making sure employees have the knowledge and skill they need. And that's something that we specialize in at Axonify. And I think too often people look at learning technology and they say, good enough solutions are good enough solutions. But ultimately, it doesn't matter if someone gets the message or if someone gets assigned a task, if they don't have the knowledge, the skill, and the confidence to execute on that information. So I believe we're going to transform the frontline work experience by basing that experience in the capability, the knowledge and skill of your people. So what do you think about impact?
Yeah, I would build on that. I think capability delivered in a manner of which an organization can measure the financial impact on the business is what's required. I think most organizations and most solutions we've seen in the market over the last number of years can drive efficiency and can drive reach, but really at the end of the day, what we're trying to achieve is a more engaged workforce that stays with you longer, that drives sales, that delivers a better customer experience. And so one of the things that we were really drawn to between Nudge and Axonify is our kind of methodical approach at deriving programs that actually drive a measurable impact on the business. And one of the earlier comments we talked about around our lack of investment in frontline experience, it's because a lot of programs have not been delivered with that kind of impact-oriented approach. So I think married with a solution that can drive a higher degree of capability that can actually drive a measurable impact is a very compelling opportunity in the market.
I'm completely with you, because everything needs to start with a clearly defined outcome you're looking to achieve as a business. And then at the other side, you have to understand the impact that your solution, whether it's learning, communication, execution, what impact are you having on the organization? Because if you don't understand the impact, what was the point in taking action at all, right? All right, we're about out of time. We got time for one more question. Let's see our last question, please. All right, what's the most exciting part of this whole conversation? So the most exciting part of Axonify and Nudge working together, in your opinion, Jordan? I've got a bit of writing to do on this one. Go ahead. As soon as you're ready, throw your answer up there.
So I wrote collaboration. And what I mean by that statement is together we have 20 years of collective experience supporting frontline workers. There's a tremendous amount of knowledge that we both acquired with the brands that we work with, which will allow us to innovate in building a solution that supports multiple different departments through one unified platform. And so I really think the opportunity to drive a greater connective tissue across an organization and help different departments achieve common outcomes through one platform is a pretty incredible opportunity to collaborate.
Again, I think we're very much on the same page here, because I wrote beyond learning, but still learning. And what I mean by that is I talk a lot about learning ecosystems, the interconnected nature of the work experience. And I think training is just one of the tools organizations can use to help people boost confidence, to be engaged in their work, to create new opportunities. And too often, the pieces of that seemingly interconnected experience are often siloed by function, right? So there's a comms team who does this, there's a learning team who does that, there's an ops team, there's an HR team, and in the middle sits this kind of employee with a disconnected experience. So I think going beyond learning as Axonify, but staying firmly rooted in our ability to boost employee knowledge and skill is going to allow us to create a really meaningful opportunity to solve the types of problems that employees, managers, and the people who support them at work see and struggle with every day. So great answer, Jordan. I think we're on our way. I think it's a good start today. Very strong application to become my new best friend. But last question for you. How can people learn more about the work we're doing and how Axonify can help them enable their frontline teams through learning, communication, and execution solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to share a conversation. So if you're already part of the Axonify or Nudge family and communities, feel free to reach out to your customer success manager. And you can also head over to axonify.com/nudge and you can schedule a call. We are extremely passionate about this space. It's not just a platform and a solution. It's the people behind these solutions that I think bring this together. And so we would really love the opportunity to share more.
Definitely. So thank you again, Jordan, so much for joining us today. And a big welcome to the Nudge team, as well as the Nudge customer community from all of us here at Axonify. This is just the beginning of something really exciting. So be sure to follow along by following Axonify on social media for more updates throughout the year. If you enjoyed your time with us today, be sure to check out all of our past episodes. You can find the entire In the Know collection on the Axonify YouTube channel. You can also listen to the audio version of In the Know with Axonify on your favorite podcast app. And we have lots more exciting content coming up over the next couple of weeks here on In the Know. We're going to be talking about learning campaigns with Amy Wallace from Members First Federal Credit Union. We're going to dive into the reality of enterprise skills strategy. Have you talked about skills lately? With Danny Johnson over at Red Thread Research. And we're going to explore the evolution of industry events with David Kelly from the Learning Guild. So if there's a topic or a guest you want to see on a future episode of In the Know, let us know by tagging Axonify on LinkedIn or on Twitter. And be sure to join us in 2 weeks as we're visited by Tracy Cantu, Senior Manager of Talent Operations at one of my favorite companies, Atlassian. Tracy and I are going to explore the range of career opportunities available in L&D today and how you can make sure you have the right L&D roles in place to properly enable your business. So sign up now on LinkedIn to be part of our virtual studio audience on Wednesday, August 3rd at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time for our conversation with the always frank and always insightful Tracy Cantu. Until then, I've been JD. Now you're in the know. And always remember to ask yourself the important questions. Like, what's another word for synonym? I'll see you next time.